Technology budget.
Thumbs
It's
out.
coming. It was just unplugged, I think.
Thumbs out. Yeah, I can see the audio moving.
Audio's moving now. We should be. That should be better. That should be better. It's back. At least I don't know what's going on.
Just wait a second here to get confirmation that the public can actually hear. Okay.
The light's on, so it's.
Yep, green light. Okay, the first speaker signed up is Karen Turner.
Funding. We need to take our funding and concentrate it on upgrading our grade schools to handle their current overcrowding. Leave the high schools alone since neither are overcrowded. Consolidation will create overcrowding. The current situation leaves plenty of room in case this county would see an increase in population. Diverting the current funds to consolidation makes no sense when we have grade schools that need the attention. Specialized classes, if offered, what impact would this have on the governor's school? They receive their funding from each participating school division and by the state. Consolidation could impact them. The Department of Education website from 2017 to 2020, on average, around half the graduates from both schools went on to a 2 or 4 year college. Both schools are so even in graduates going to college, combining them would hurt these numbers because parents fear their kids will be lost in a larger school and not have the opportunity to excel like they can in a smaller school. There's more one-on-one in a smaller school, and we are a state that boasts no child left behind. If we consolidate, children will disappear in the overcrowding, not having the one-on-one support. Students get lost in larger schools, that is a fact. Staff and teachers don't get the chance to interact or get to know the students like in a smaller school. This can make students feel like teachers don't care about them or their education. Statistics prove the dropout rate is higher in larger schools. Students need that personal attention. It's a factor in making it to graduation. The schools in Nares are our largest employer. The loss would destroy our economy. Jobs will be lost. We discussed teachers losing jobs. Virginia has a persistent teacher shortage, around 1,000 unfilled positions a year. What about our staff? Secretaries, bookkeepers, cafeteria, janitorial staff. It was indicated no one would lose their jobs. That guarantee needs to be in writing for the staff at Nares because they'll be the ones targeted first. Taxes will go up. When you have a county that has no large employers, you end up with a limited number of families with children moving in. Therefore, it becomes a retirement community. The median income in Giles County is $57,279, and the per capita income is $27,672. There are 16,562 people that live in Giles County. 11.3% are poverty level. Do you think the poverty level and retired people can afford a tax increase with household expenses constantly going up? You need to think about not only what you're doing to the students, our town, but the county residents as well. Consequences of a consolidation: more physical violence, more social and psychological issues, more low self-esteem, angry parents over consolidation pulling their children from the school, which means less funding, greater chance of a school shooting. A negative environment will breed violence. We don't need to expose our children to the trauma of consolidation. What happened at Virginia Tech is still very real to our town. Partial definition of bullying: an ongoing and deliberate misuse of power in relationships through repeated verbal, physical, and/or social behavior that intends to cause physical, social, and/or psychological harm. It can involve an individual or a group misusing their power or perceived power over one or more persons who feel unable to stop it from happening. This is already happening to our students and parents. Some of you on the board have created a bullying situation, and the western end of the county are the ones being bullied. Perfect example was the sign displayed at the football game led by the administration from Giles High School. What do you think will happen to our children the day they walk in that school? My references are the Southwest Virginia Governor's School, the Department of Education website, the classroom.com, Kansas State University, the U.S. Census Bureau, and the National Center Against Bullying.
All right. It's 4 minutes. Thank you, Ms. Turner. Next speaker signed up is Kristen Pope.
Hello, my name is Kristen Poe. I'd like to discuss consolidation. I'd like to read what I prepared first, which runs about 3 minutes, and quickly ask my 2 questions. I ask, what is our goal here? To an observer looking in, my take is that it's all bricks and mortar. We are talking about buildings and budgets and neglecting the actual purpose of these buildings. So let's talk about the assets, because that's the focus. We have 2 high schools. It's been made very clear that we will not be getting a new high school to absorb both without raising taxes substantially. So at the last meeting, that was taken off the table, not an option. Enrollment. The only reason Narrows High School enrollment is lower than Giles High School is because Giles High School has 2 elementary schools funneling into it. And although Narrows Elementary has the highest enrollment of all the elementary schools, it's only 1. Narrows is constantly made to feel like our enrollment is something to be ashamed of, that's lacking. But by the school board's data, Narrows Elementary sends more students to high school than either Eastern or Macy does alone. They are all consistently comparable. The little engine that could, Narrows is that, it's always been that. The town, the people, the schools, optimism and perseverance, just like that little engine. So now we have a pot of money, a loan, a match, the tail end of COVID funding. I don't know what it is. That much is as clear as mud. But what I do know is that the funding is a blessing, and we are treating it like a burden to change instead of a gift to maintain. Why not take the money and eliminate the to-do list on these assets? A metal roof has a life expectancy of 30 to 45 years, well surpassing Mr. Steele's comment that we better be happy with the decision, carrying what he says is a 25-year commitment. To shutter one of the high schools when we don't have the option to build is shocking to me, especially with the growth being seen in the county. I've seen more people moving here in the last year than I've seen in the last 35, and that's before the slated developments have started. Home flippers have found Giles County to be profitable now. Ex-Californians, Texans, New Yorkers, they are all my new neighbors of Wolf Creek. We mentioned earlier, not without raising taxes substantially. Well, if we do consolidate and growth comes, here comes those tax hikes to build a new school. No way around it at that point. We would have backed the county into a corner with this consolidation. We know what we have, it's here, we can touch it. We don't know what's coming, but all indicators point to growth. Even considering closing Narrows High School would be a big mistake, and in my opinion, driven by political motivators rather than rational thinking and decision-making for the bright future I see ahead in Giles County schools. We have room for growth and potential right now. Hold taxes, hold consolidation, and maintain. In closing, I didn't mention I walked out of school in the 90s against this consolidation, but I did. I didn't mention my 2 boys go to Narrows High School, but they do. And I also didn't mention that addressing you today had absolutely nothing to do with sports, because it didn't. I'd like to ask my 2 questions. Mr. Mark Wilburn, I know you've been a very strong advocate for a middle school. My question to you is, if you are told a middle school is not an option, are you then for or against consolidation? For or against? Please be straightforward with us.
It's not a question to answer. We're not, Mark, don't answer that.
There'll be a time for that.
This is public comment, and that's what we're gonna stick it to.
Second question, can someone explain to us in layman's terms where the 24 million is coming from?
So we have operated since I've been on this board, where you've decided you're gonna respond to questions and now you're not going to. Mark's freely responded, we've all responded.
If it stays inside of 4 minutes, then I guess.
I'm within 4 minutes. You can sit for 27 seconds more, I suppose. I mean, we don't know, you say, oh, it's a 25 years, so is this a loan that we have to pay back for 25 years? Is this a tail end of COVID money? You're all for shoving these schools together, but you wouldn't even tell anybody where the money's coming from.
When that's worked out.
12 seconds, it's working good for you, isn't it? I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Poe. Next speaker signed up is Joe Gorski.
Hello again, I'm here tonight representing the town of Narrows as a town council member. There's a few items that I've been directed to come up here and address with you all. The town of Narrows wishes for this board to know why we've been attempting to obtain FOIA requested information that we have just received some of today and haven't had time to go through yet. The reason that we're requesting this information is that we would like to make clear what is already known about the options being presented, and see what else could already be known. We think that this information is very necessary as we plan our future for our town. For example, some of the information that is already known, that isn't very clearly stated by this board or put out there in a very clearly stated manner, is that there will be job loss if schools are combined. Mr. Wilburn has a tendency to muddy the water on this issue. Another item that we know for sure is that there will be no new course offerings. Many people in this county believe that there will be. And that there will also be, we understand there will be an increase in student-teacher ratios to 19:1. We believe that there is more information that is already known, even though we don't know which option and haven't figured out all the details. We do know that there's other things that could be known. We would also like to shed light on what could be known by again requesting this board join with the town of Narrows in conducting an economic impact study. The economic impact of closing schools will have some effect on every part of this county and a very disproportionate impact on the town of Narrows. For Narrows High School is clearly an amenity of our town. When I look at my house on Realtor.com, it lists a school system, and that is an amenity. A loss of an important amenity is a loss in property value. A loss in property value is a loss in tax revenue for the county and the town. A loss of a high school is a loss of foot traffic coming to town for all the various events and programs. Loss of jobs is equal to a loss of population due to people moving and more loss of foot traffic. Compounded loss of foot traffic in our town is a loss of business revenues dependent on that. Loss of business revenues means more lost tax revenues. Compounded lost tax revenues for our town either equals higher taxes or less services. Less services equals less amenities equals more lost property value. Higher taxes equals more lost population and more lost business revenues, and that will equal more lost tax revenues. We need to understand what this impact could be for our town so we can plan accordingly. For any part of the county seeking to invite development and new business, school systems play a very important role in how a locality is chosen or overlooked for development. Regardless of the actual situation within the school building at Giles High School and how it would look, on paper at least, it would look like that building is at or near capacity. Higher student-teacher ratios, no additional advanced learning courses, and a high school near capacity lowers a locality's viability as a destination for businesses and development. Businesses and developers want to see a locality that gives buyers and employees a reason to move and or stay there. Rural areas need all the help we can get when trying to attract any type of growth or future tax revenue streams. I assert to this board on behalf of my town that we cannot afford this, and that we must stop allowing taxpayers to believe in all the many assumed benefits of these proposals without showing them the true costs and lack of actual benefits being received. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Gorski.
Yes, sir.
On the economic development study, I don't think you're going, I would be one that would generally, I don't support that from this board because I don't think we're the ones to consider, economic impact is kind of peripheral to what it should be a factor, and I think that should be looked at. The county may want to look at it, definitely the towns in the Western District. I think the county's got a vested interest, just like for every dollar that you collect, the county collects $1.50, so a 10 or 20% reduction in property values would be a negative effect to the county as well. So, I wish you luck on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gorski. Next public speaker signed up is Carolyn Kirby.
We have talked in great detail and will continue to talk about the educational disadvantages of consolidation, the overcrowding of classrooms, and the psychological toll on one group of students. Today I'm going to talk about one community and the negative impact consolidation will have on it. Right now our economy sucks. Eventually it will change and the country will prosper again. It always does, but when? That is the looming question. My husband and I just paid our county taxes, and he no more paid those than our town taxes arrived. And Merry Christmas, they are due on December 5th. More than $1,000. Now, I am one of those people who believe that taxes is a part of life. I am blessed that my husband and I both have good paying jobs and that we have been able to save back and put that money for that use. Not every citizen in this county is that fortunate. We know that our seniors struggle with the cost of health care and living on fixed incomes. We know that single-parent families struggle constantly to make ends meet. There are families that deal with catastrophic illnesses and disabilities that impact their ability to make it in this struggling economy. There are families who simply do not live above the poverty line despite all their attempts. While the cost of living increases in this country, unfortunately salaries do not. I can speak from personal experience. I received a big fat $1,000 raise last year. Guess what that does not pay for? 1 tank of gas a week. It does not pay for 1 tank of gas a week. So let's talk about budgeting. There's no doubt in my mind that this decision the board makes will have a negative impact on the people sitting behind me. I know for a fact that there is a single mom in the audience who is a brand new employee at NHS and loves her job. Don't tell me she won't lose her job. She will be one of the first ones cut. But you see, you don't see that face. You don't see the young entrepreneur who has built a business that will suffer based on your decision. We know who that person is, and that's why we are fighting. You don't know all the kids like the young lady who has dreamed of graduating from Narrows High School since they were little, but we do, and that's why we are fighting. You don't see the business owners that have been around for decades supporting our community, but we do, and that's why we are fighting. You don't know the new businesses that have come to our community and are thriving and will be impacted by your decision, but we do, and that's why we are fighting. You don't know the number of families we have supported in times of trouble, because as Greenwaves, we do not fight alone, but we do, and that's why we are fighting. So you want your legacy to be that you consolidated schools in Giles County? Well, let me tell you what your legacy is going to be. I would like everyone from the western end to please stand up. I want this board to take a good look at the faces in this crowd. Take a long, hard look. Consolidation of schools will result in the destruction of a community, its businesses, its economy, and its spirit. That will be your legacy. That will be what you have to live with for the rest of your lives. I have one final question. Thank you all. The closing of Narrows High School altogether seemed to come from nowhere. Even Mr. Wilburn seemed a little surprised at that option. Speculation is that someone is planning to make profit off of that building for personal gain in another way. Wouldn't that be a shame, to take jobs away from teachers and staff who have dedicated their lives to the education of our children? Or as my mother would say, a dirty shame. To take away a school that has a rich tradition of success and pride to build an apartment complex or some other personal financial adventure? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kirby. The next speaker signed up is Sarah Bowles.
Thank you again for accepting questions and concerns from the public. I'd like to preface tonight that I'm wearing the hats of a wife and a mother, and I certainly hope that my questions will not be in vain and that it will not be a null subject of me sitting up here, because we deserve to know answers. I would like to ask a question as a constituent from the western end, and one that may personally affect my family and our livelihood. Mr. Pennington, as your constituent, I've observed and I appreciate your active listening at the meetings. However, I would like to know your stance on the topic of consolidation, specifically the closure of Narrows High School. We deserve this information. I understand that you have been instructed to not answer, but I do encourage you to let your constituents know soon. I would like to address the board as a concerned wife and mother. I am aware and have read the reduction in force policy that is in place for current teachers. Has there been forethought of how the alignment of administration will occur should consolidation come into effect? And this is not a rhetorical question.
Sarah,
Deserve an answer to this.
you deserve an answer, and Sarah, this board has not thought about that, not considered that, not discussed that. But I'll tell you right now, Brian's a friend of mine. Ms. Bogus is in the audience. If this happens, I think we're setting up anyone who's a current administrator for failure if we don't look outside the system for combined high school and for other key positions within there. After some discussions with folks from Pulaski County and from how the consolidations went, that, that's something we're gonna have to consider. I think otherwise you're setting people up for failure and you're setting the community to be divided. That's just my opinion.
Okay. That is certainly a jagged pill to swallow, since my family was uprooted 7 years ago to move here, and we've been blessed ever since we did. And I suspected that might be the case, so I'm gonna go to my plan B rebuttal, because I had a notion that might be the case. I appreciate your response. And I will add this to the growing list of why I am adamantly against consolidation. There's not a single positive outcome that I've gleaned from reading studies, potential plans, or attending meetings in regards to consolidation. I'd like to highlight some of my takeaways. It has been stated that there will be no new courses or enhancements offered for our children, only possible larger classes. The home that we have worked so hard to establish will decrease in value. The town that I serve and give my whole heart to may crumble. And now, you tell me, my husband, who was recruited and has dedicated over 25 years of education and has given his soul to the community. And when I say community, I'm not saying school community, because in Narrows, we are one entity.
That's a right man.
May not have a job. Is this how you treat your loyal employees? I certainly hope you are not being short-sighted with your decision.
Bowles, that's 4 minutes.
They keep talking.
You are potentially going to lose talented educators and families.
Bowles, that's 4 minutes.
In the end, are you really going to save money? Maybe enough for a field house, but our children's education is worth far more than a field house.
Thank you, Ms. Bowles. Next speaker that is signed up is Sabrina Gautier.
When did this come about that no one's gonna talk back? Philip, Mark, Stevie?
Mr. Buckland has broken that silence.
Well, I mean, we can't
This
ask
is not a
no
courtroom,
questions.
so we're trying to not get this to be a back and forth when we have been presented information ahead of time. We can't be expected to give a concise answer when we haven't even had a chance to review the question. So if you have a question, you can submit it to staff. We can crank it into everything else that we're trying to get answers for, but this is not a place where we can be ambushed and expect to come up with a response that's going to be played for the entire county to hear.
I want my 4 minutes back. I don't want to hear no more. Can I have my 4 minutes back?
That's fair, yep.
Mr. Arbogast, can I ask you a question? Do you know the current student count at Narrows High School?
291.
291. Okay, from this paper right here that y'all did the study on, if you do close Narrows High School and you make it a middle school, you're gonna have 502 students, so you say. I guess I can address this to you because I can't anybody else. Your capacity is 645. This whole thing about Nares High School was we weren't utilizing all the space, correct? Is that correct? Somebody please tell me.
I'm not quite sure.
I mean, that's what we got two board meetings ago. So you're not utilizing it then either. Your elementary schools will go from 495 down to 389. So guess what? You're not utilizing the space in the schools. So now that you're not utilizing the space in the schools, are you gonna go back and close every school? Are we gonna do that? That was the whole point of this, because we weren't utilizing the space in the schools. So you're going back and you're gonna go to pre-K in Nares Elementary to 389, and your capacity is 684. In Macy, it's 380, it'll be 386, your capacity is 572. In Eastern Elementary, 327, your capacity is 579. Tell me where you're gonna utilize all that space. You're gonna close every school we got because you're not utilizing space. That is the most ridiculous thing ever, ever. But we can't get anyone on this board to tell us, why are we even talking about this again? This is the third time. Y'all are as old as I am, you should remember the last 2 times that got dumped. We've not come up with anything new. Nothing new. Nothing is new. Everybody's gonna lose their jobs. I bet you the jobs teachers didn't know. I bet you the jobs principal, I bet you didn't know that you might lose your job too. I bet y'all didn't know that. But you know it now. There's too much in here that we have to have answered. And there is laws in other states that the students can't be on the school bus for over an hour. You better check it out in Virginia, because there's a lot of laws and a lot of lawyers that's ready to take a case.
Thank you, Ms. Gautier. Next speaker signed up is Chucky Burrecker.
I appreciate you all taking the time here this evening. Some of my things I was gonna say, some of my constituents here has already actually said, so I'm not gonna go over that again. One of the big things that I want to actually address is the education, right? That is big. I've still got kids in elementary school. Article, it was actually November 3rd, Governor Youngkin talks about our test scores in Virginia, how they have dropped, right? Why are we talking about consolidation? Why are we not talking about what we're gonna do to improve our education for our students? Mr. Wilburn, in one of the first meetings that we were here, you talked and said that you were pleasantly surprised with the test scores. Dr. Arbogast, reading your body language. I don't know what the test scores are, I don't need to know. Reading your body language, didn't look like you were very happy with them. All right, so once again, why are we not focusing on education and saying we're putting this off until later? Education is the most important thing with our students, with our teachers, job losses. 2, this whole consolidation thing, there's a lot of misconception, right? I work with a guy in Covenant. I work in Covenant. I work with a guy from Pembroke who's already saying this is a done deal. Where's he getting it from? All right? So I started asking about taxes. Are you happy with this? Are you happy with this? There's a lot of misinformation. That's one of the big things you're hearing a lot tonight. All these answers we're getting, there's no information. People are not realizing that just because they're at Teacher Giles or they're at Nares or wherever, everybody's on the chopping block here. Everybody's got skin in this game right now, okay? I think there needs to be a whole lot more information with everybody. You hear about a guy from Maybrook says, why are my taxes paying for 2 high schools? Well, guess what? This happens, your taxes are gonna go up, paying for 1 high school. Businesses, you've already heard about businesses wanting to come here to our county. That's great, right? That's what we want. We want our county to grow. What is one of the first things the businesses are asking? How many schools you got? What's the high school like, right? We only have one choice. Guess what? They're gonna go across the mountain. They're gonna go somewhere else where they've got multiple high schools. You already got, and many of you already heard about Dana Robinson with the Statesman, building and home development. They're against it. There's a gentleman in the audience that's working on getting businesses here, and the first thing they ask is, how many schools do you have? I mean, that's things that we need to be looking at. Mr. Steele, you made the comment several meetings ago that for the company that you work at, you do your research and you make changes, correct? Have we done any research truly financial for the county? Have we done facility, all we've done is a facility. Have we done a faculty study? And here we're wanting to make a change and we have not truly sat down and done all the research that is needed to make a decision like this. I don't understand how we can make that, or even bring that up when the county administration has not even said this needs to be a discussion. The number one priority for each and every one of you that are elected officials working for us, everybody here, you all work for us, is the education of our children. That's what we need to focus on. Forget about the consolidation, go with education. Thank you all.
Mr. Burracker. Last public speaker we have signed up is Nicole Price.
Hot room.
Well, this is not here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. So after the last few weeks, I've been approached by peers on both ends of this county. And they've asked me to come and speak on the topic of consolidation. Like many of you, I have far more to say than our 4 short minutes will allow. I didn't know I could request more time in advance, or would have. But I want to make sure that it's understood that everything I say tonight is my own opinion. I don't claim to be the voice for anyone or any single district or any portion of people in the county. And I know that what I'm going to say tonight might not sit well with everyone or anyone, and I'm okay with that. My intentions are not to add fuel to this fire, but to really start to build a bridge where we can communicate together and bring our communities back together, because simply they've become more divided in the last few months than I ever expected I would see in my lifetime. And guys, our kids are watching and they are listening to the narrative being said across the county, and it's disturbing. I want to start not by even addressing the board really. I want to talk directly to my friends, my family, my peers, people I don't even know on the western end of the county. Many of you have spent time voicing passionate concerns. You've spoken your piece, and I applaud your willingness to stand up for what you think is right. And I'm turning because I really want to speak to them, actually. I hear you. A lot of us on the central and eastern ends of the county hear you. And I think that that's part of the problem, is some of you aren't feeling heard by everyone. I hear your worry, I hear your concern, I hear your fear for your history, and frankly, for your future. And I get that 100%. And I also think that when you haven't heard anything really loudly from the central and the western parts of this county, that what you hear in that silence is an opposition to you, a defiance to what you care about. And that is not the way I think it should be perceived. So I'm here to apologize if that's what you've heard from the people that I share a school with, that I share a community with on that half of the county. So because you've heard that silence and felt it as opposition or defiance and anger against what you believe is right, I think you had to get louder and more vocal and really dig in your heels to defend your position, and that makes sense to me. That's human nature. And if I have been asked once, I've been asked 500 times if I am for consolidation, against consolidation, for a middle school, against a middle school, or for keeping things the way they are. And honestly, guys, I respect all of you, and I am for none of that. What I am for is doing something better. Always improving.
The discussion was brought up during a board meeting to the public, frankly, in my opinion, my own opinion, without enough actionable data, without a strategic vision forward, and without a plan that I could discern from any of our discussions. What has resulted, to me, can be described as nothing other than complete and utter sad chaos in our community. Ugly words have been thrown back and forth, misinformation has been shared across the county, feverish rushes to get information to you all to help you make a decision that honestly the community shouldn't be providing. I'm leaning on you all as experts, as our leaders, to bring the data to us. So I'm disappointed that we haven't had a plan to get there. But what I'm not disappointed in my last 20 seconds, because I have more than that to say, I am not disappointed or embarrassed by my experience at Giles High School as a student and as a parent. I have heard and I believe that Narrows High School is an excellent place to teach and be taught. My family is there. I love people there. I will shut up. If anybody wants to hear the rest, I'll keep going.
We gotta stop you there.
That's fine.
We gotta stop you there.
I'm gonna leave with this. If I can't see a board become cohesive with a plan forward, I can't expect this board to lead us through significant change. And I want unification
Thank you, Ms.
regardless
Price.
of consolidation. Anything is better than what we're doing.
Thank you, Ms. Price.
Thank you. I do want to say two things, since unless somebody wants to shut me up. Shut up. Who said that? One, again, I brought this whole mess up in that I was told by the county administrator that we're going to vote in consolidation real soon. This was back in August. It's going to save a lot of money. And to me, that was frightening in that we had not looked at anything but buildings. We had not looked at the educational piece of it and those things, and I've screamed holy bloody murder and tried to get my constituents involved, and they've come to me because it's important. Secondly, what I said last meeting about getting folks to love Giles High School as much as Narrows High School, I did not in any way mean to offend any of you teachers there. They're there. I think, well, ma'am, I'm sorry, all of you. I think you guys do a good job, but that was not what was intended in that what I see is we've got two good buildings, different schedules, different things, different ways of teaching, different administration. It's a great option for a kid that has a bad situation at Narrows can go to Giles and vice versa. It happens all the time. We offer great options. That's great. But what I don't like to have is the destruction of a building that's working that just may not be, what everyone else wants. Do they see it? I heard a lot of folks saying it's a waste to have a high school down there for 300 kids. And that's what we're feeling to destroy a community just because there's 300 kids, even though, this board's looked at it 30 years ago. The math's not going to change anytime soon with what we've got to utilize. We know what's going to happen. It's not going to save any money. It's going to be sold that it is, but it's not. It's not going to offer new educational benefits. We should be focused on making what we have better. I completely agree with you, Nicole.
All right, we thank all the public speakers that signed up. We encourage that, as I always say, whether we feel like it's appropriate to volley back and forth and show the county us throwing mud at each other in these meetings. I guess if that's where we want to go, we can consider that. I don't think that that's the best course for this board or for the people of the county, which is why I feel that we should field the public comments. We should listen intently, take notes as you see me do every time, go back to the requests that we're making to our staff and our professionals and start putting together the long-term plan, the visioning, the answers. But we can't answer them incrementally a little bit at a time, which is what this community desperately is asking for, and we can't do it. And I know you don't feel like we're moving fast enough for you, and we're not giving you answers real time as they come to the top of your mind. But as a board, we have got to be mindful that our job is to take all that in and bring answers back to you once they've been thought through.
I don't think that these folks are saying that we're moving too fast. I think they're saying let's take a measured approach to this. I mean, there's been a comment made to Ms. Gwynn that we're going to vote on this by this time next year.
And I'm glad that's what we want to keep using our words to talk about.
Well,
because it's not progressing anything that's going to make us find a decision any
what
faster.
I'm trying to say, if we want to get the community, particularly my end of the county, my constituents, calm down, let's take a reasoned approach. Let's set out a schedule of how we're gonna look at that and consider it, and what public hearings we're gonna have and those things. You were in the Board of Supervisors with me. You didn't wanna have a lot of public comment and public hearings. That changed the last meeting. We've got to include that, but we've got to set up a schedule where it doesn't feel like folks in here saw our notice about the budget hearing, and they thought that that was a vote on consolidation tonight. I'll be honest with you, a lot of you did, didn't you? So.
Was that because of you, maybe?
Not because of me. It's, you know,
This is gonna be a long, drawn out
well, again,
answers, and we don't have it.
we need to in the next
We
meeting.
don't have these answers.
We need to sit down as a board and map out some decision making to get the temperature down a little bit.
I agree.
You know,
Certainly
and,
agree.
you know, I think there's a rush to get this done by a certain date.
There should not be that, shouldn't be no rush. You know,
We have to do our job, and I'm one board member. I can't do anything with information that comes across to us as we should not even be talking about this. We should not even be considering it. The thought that people already know that the economy will absolutely be devastated. There's so much information coming from the public side that hasn't been vetted yet either. And all that does is make things muddier. I want information, I want public comment. We all do. But we also have to temper all of it. Nicole said it, the kids are watching all this. Facebook is like a firestorm. And I can't tell people what to do with that media. It would be great if we would use it for good. But we have to get past the fact, and this is why I was so much against a public outreach, because the last time we had one, we had it in theirs auditorium, and they personally attacked an architect that had no dog in the hunt and had never even lived here. It was horrendous. And that's not good for the community. That's not good for any of us. So if we're gonna talk, I've said this till I'm blue in the face, let's talk. But let's not put up walls and say, we're not doing this, we're not gonna look at that. I told Jason Buckland at the last meeting, if there's something and he added an option that we're gonna have the staff look at, we're gonna look at it. But we have to have a chance to put together a plan, and Mr. Buckland's right, and any other board members that wanna add to this, we do need to put together some kind of a timeline that shows that things aren't happening behind closed doors, that we aren't buried with FOIA requests that keep our staff from actually being able to try to get some of the answers that you guys are burying us with. It's like we're doing this circle of death that we can't get out of. So we need to get something out there that gives you confidence that we're not trying to rush something through and pull a vote when it's gonna work, that we have the options that everybody thinks is reasonable to look at. You don't have to agree with them, but we can say these are the options and we're gonna get the data. And at the end of the day, it's our job to get the confidence that we're gonna give you information back and that we're not holding back, and then at one board meeting, how that vote's gonna happen. That is not the intent. And if that's what's come across in the time coming up to this, and I have anything to do with that, I apologize personally as the chair of this board and the person who's supposed to be looking out for teachers, citizens, and students, because that's why I'm into this. There's no other reason why anybody would get into this position if they didn't have a passion for all those folks, and I do. So if I gave that idea to anybody, then I apologize.
We have that passion too, and you don't need to take a bad attitude with us because we have that passion.
So we've heard, Mr. Buckland made a good comment that I think we're gonna drive through and get a more structured path moving forward that shows how we're gonna systematically assess things, talk about when we're gonna do certain things so people don't have to feel like, well, I better go to a board meeting because I don't know what's gonna happen. So let's get rid of all that and as a community decide what we're gonna do without punching each other the whole way. I mean,
My question is,
if you don't have the information on all this that we've asked you about, then why are you even considering consolidation?
Amen.
That should not even be considered till you have all the information. It needs to be done properly.
Well, I mean, consolidation won't be considered for a vote until we actually set a time to vote on it. All the way up to then is collecting data and deciding what information is critical to even be able to consider that. So I think we've heard that. I mean, does the board have a consensus that we do need to do a better job of putting a game plan together?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't wanna get too far down in the weeds with that, but thank you again for public comment. Continue to bring it. We in no way wanna stifle that. We just don't wanna have a mud throwing contest in front of the entire community. So keep bringing public comment. We need it. We certainly need all the ideas you have. But we also need support on what you think is gonna help, and not just always what you don't want. So, the next item on the agenda is consent item approval by single board vote, which includes meeting minutes, financial data, advisory committees, field trips, and surplus.
I'll make that motion.
I'm gonna abstain from this since I think my wife is the subject on field trips.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? 3 yes, Mr. Buckman abstains.
No, it was
I know.
and my son too, so.
Oh, okay.
Superintendent's report.
At this time, I have some personnel items I need to ask the board to approve. I need to ask the board to approve the following volunteer agreements. Jeremy Hagerman, Giles High School Assistant Wrestling Coach. Deborah Childress, Mason McClarty School General. Logan Conley, Narrows High School Boys Basketball. Elisa Bishop, Narrows High School Middle School Girls Basketball. Alicia Bishop, Narrows High School Girls Middle School Basketball. Weiss. Nancy Quisenberry, Narrows High School Girls Basketball, and Sarah Miller, Mason McClarty General.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following employment, transfer of Deb Parcell from Giles High School to Eastern effective October 20th, and Justin Romanello as a sub-bus driver.
I'll make a motion that we approve that. Surprisingly, that we have a substitute bus driver. That's awesome news.
Happen all.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following athletic coaching contracts. Derek Reed, Narrows High School Assistant Boys Varsity Basketball. Patrick Bailey, Narrows High School Head Boys Basketball. Bradley Sutphin, Narrows High School Head Girls Basketball. Byron Brown, Narrows High School Assistant Girls Basketball. Josh Sparks, Narrows High School Scholastic Bowl. Todd Gwynn, Narrows High School Head Girls Middle School Basketball. Brock Lusk, Narrows High School Head Boys Middle School Basketball. Tara Johnson, Narrows High School Head Girls JV. Roger Shepard, Narrows High School Head Boys JV. Matthew Burns, Giles High School Head Wrestling. Kelsey Lucas, Giles High School Head Girls Varsity Basketball. Jimmy McCroskey, Giles High School JV Head Baseball and 8th grade Head Boys Basketball. Gretchen Hagee, Giles High School Theater Assistant. Cassie Miller, Giles High School 8th grade Girls Head Varsity Basketball. And Ashley Snyder, Giles High School Head 8th grade Volleyball.
Make a motion, approve coaching contract.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following resignations. Eric Hubble, Mason McClarty PE teacher, effective December 31st. That's pending us finding a suitable replacement. And Kelly Pennington, Mason McClarty elementary teacher, effective November 25th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. Do we have any prospects for?
Starting to work through that process now.
Thank you. Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following retirement. Anna Bostwick, bus driver, effective December 30th.
Regretfully, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Need to ask the board to approve the following, RFP, or IFB actually. I would like to ask the board to approve the bid IFB 9-2022B. That's a rebid for steamers from Macy and Giles High School. This is from Douglas Equipment. We had this is for 2 convection gas steamers and includes installation. And we had 2 submittals, one from Douglas and one from the Douglas Equipment was lesser of the 2.
I'll make the motion that we approve that.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
That's all of those items. I've got others if you want me to keep on going.
Yes, sir.
Enrollment information, just to share that with you. As of today, November 22nd, our enrollment is 2,196. That's 2,170 students in person, and we have 9 that are continuing virtual, full-time virtual that are in county. That's an increase of 3 from the beginning of November. In addition, we have 1,274 stride students. Those are the non-residential virtual students. So we have a total of 3,470 students. As you may recall, back when the pandemic struck and we had to create a safe return to in-person instruction learning plan, and have that posted online. And due to requirements for receiving the ESSER funds, we have to review that return to in-person instruction plan every 6 months. This is the 3rd go-around for this, 3rd review. We have an updated draft to this policy. It's already posted on our website. It was put out there on November 10th, and it will be there through December 1st. For public comments. Any comments to be sent back to Amanda. And really what it says right now is that we're back in person and masks are not required and it can be worn if they want to be worn. So once that date, we get past December 1st, we'll finalize any corrections, additions that we need to make to it, and we will have it officially posted by the December 31st due date and notify DOE that that has been done. Along those same lines, as you're aware, with the ESSER 3 funding, we had to come up with a spending plan for what we were going to utilize the ESSER 3 funds for. We are being required, we're required to now update that plan, and that has to be done also by December 31st. A draft of that spending plan has now been posted online as well, and will be there for a couple weeks to also get feedback from the public. Again, that funding was utilized for the cleaning material, supplies, the masks, etc., for learning loss, some of the summer school programs, reading specialists, and then we had the HVAC at Macy and Nares Elementary included in that as well.
We couldn't sneak any more desks in there with that.
No, I don't think we can get any more desks in there.
Everybody wanted a desk at these budget hearings.
So that is published now, or the draft is online. Again, we'll leave it there for probably 2-3 weeks. Then we will finalize that document and again submit that to DOE by the December 31st deadline. Want to congratulate our school's Teachers of the Year. I don't know that we have done that at a board meeting at this time. I know that you may be thinking that that's a little earlier than normal. It is. DOE moved up their timeline in their process, so we had to move up our timeline in order to meet their timeline. So I want to congratulate the following teachers for being recognized as their school's Teacher of the Year. Teresa Lowe, Nares High School. Seth Davis, Eastern Elementary Middle School. Kelsey Lowe, Nares Elementary Middle School. Luke Craig, Giles High School, and Emily Moy, Mason McClarity. So congratulations to those teachers for that recognition. Also want to remind the board, shared with you prior, Region 7 has currently scheduled a date to meet with legislators for Region 7 on December 6th at 6 o'clock at the Southwest Higher Ed Center. We'll be discussing topics with the legislators prior to them heading to the General Assembly session in January.
It's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. on December 6th. Yes, sir. Couple other things from our budget hearings. One of them from our budget meetings when we met with, I think it was our transportation. The request was made for the board to consider increasing the trip pay. Currently, it's $12.50 an hour or $75 a trip. That's field trips and athletics. And the request to increase that pay was done because it's thought that if we could increase that pay a little bit, we may be able to get more people interested in driving for those activities. So the request was to change that from what I just shared with you to $85 per trip or $13.50 per hour, whichever is higher. Is that correct? Yes, sir.
Motion to approve that. I move that we change the, or do you need something?
No, you go ahead. I was gonna share it, but I'll share it.
I move that we change the trip pay from $12.50 an hour to $13.50 an hour, $75 a day to $85 a day.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just so you know, I should have shared this prior, but I'll share it now. What we have budgeted currently is about $49,100 total for trips such as that, and that's about $10,000 more, $10,779 more than we had spent last year. And we would start this effective December 1st.
I think we've got to do minimum wages going up to what, $12 an hour in January.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
The other thing that was also mentioned during the transportation budget meeting was the need to continue to pursue purchasing school buses. As you know, what we've dealt with securing items, particularly equipment for the HVAC at Harris Elementary, we experienced the same thing. They're experiencing the same thing with buses and bus parts. We have 2 buses that are on order, and we expect to receive. We ordered them in August, this past August. May, and we still do not have them and are being told we might get them by the end of December. What we're also being told is if we order buses now, we can expect a 9-month to 12-month lead time.
Are they gonna hold the price if we order them now?
This price right now, well, the price we've been told is good. What we'll share with you, it's $140,000 per bus. So we would like to order at least 2 at this point in time to get them in the pipeline.
And that's what we discussed this other day, that's what we have budgeted.
We have $300,000 in that line item. So we would like to ask the board to go ahead and allow us to move forward with purchasing 2 buses to replace 2 in the fleet and to look at getting a van as well for the fleet.
Right now, you just need a motion on the buses, right?
I'd like for both of them, but
How much is the van gonna cost?
probably 45 to 50.
Transit 150, the equivalent.
We need, you gotta have,
They've been very, they'll come in handy, particularly springtime, particularly when we got groups going places, and we don't have to have an individual
We had
CDL.
an argument about those vans before, didn't we?
We did, we should have bought them.
So,
No one there now.
listen,
Yeah, well, gas, well, of course, we won't get that until, you order new, you won't get them till next fall, next summer. I moved that, I guess, I prefer to do it separately. I moved that we, do you need authorization up to, or just authorization to go ahead and purchase, and you set them out, I guess?
I think you give us authorization to purchase 2 buses, and then give us the authorization to, we're gonna need to put out an RFP anyway for the vans. So we can put out the RFP now, see what the cost is, and if it comes back too high and you're not comfortable with it, we won't purchase it, but if it comes back.
Would you be acceptable with the motion, at least on the buses, approve the purchase of buses not to exceed the budgeted 300,000?
That's
Okay. All right. I move that we approve the purchase of 2 new school buses, at a contract not to exceed the budgeted $300,000 amount.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? I do want to applaud staff for bringing us out of the ditch on the shape that we were in with the buses. We were way behind, we had buses on the road that were way too old, and you have diligently put 2 back in the fleet every year that we can absolutely get it done, and we're in much better shape. So keep up the good work, and really appreciate, pretty important for the safety of the kids, so.
Just FYI, I was also told today that those prices will increase by a minimum of $5,000 per bus starting January 1st.
Okay, call them tomorrow.
So the state contract, I will,
We had a conversation with him today, that he knows we were talking about.
we'll drive and go get them, I still have my license.
Anyway,
Where they at?
unfortunately, they're not
They're not built
They're not
yet.
even on the line.
They're not.
They don't have them on the lots anymore.
We go there in the middle of the night.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Just to update you on the performance contracting process, we have been in contact with CMTA. We have a time scheduled to meet with them. Dr. Brown and myself will meet with CMTA next Thursday, I believe it is, Thursday afternoon, to begin the conversation about the IGA process and the investment grade audit, and moving forward with that as well. So we'll be able to update you at a future date to let you know how that conversation goes. Governor School, we had a Governor School update. We had a work session meeting last night with the Governor School Board, updated them on where we stand. We have met with Blue River Community College representatives, Bristol Community College representatives to help discuss options for where the Governor School could be held, classes could be held next year and moving forward. We've also talked to Radford University to see about them partnering with us, the Governor School Board, and having space on RU campus in a facility to do the Governor School classes. They're very interested as well, so we're going to continue to meet with RU. We're going to meet with Whitfield Community College and New River Community College to hopefully get a better understanding of what the classes, where they are, what they look like, sizes, et cetera, so we can start getting that information to the Governor School Board so they can make a decision, because at some point in time, they're gonna need to make some decisions, the Governor School Boards will need to make some decisions so that that they can start meeting with students to be able to get them scheduled for next year. So as soon as we get some additional information, I'll be able to share that with you as well. A couple items, just like to recognize a couple groups from both high schools. Neris High School, I'd like to congratulate the theater group. They captured the Regency Championship for the one-act play. They also competed in a super regional and they placed 3rd. Congratulations to Andy Tawney, Taylor Sowers, and Avery Smith for being recognized for their individual performance during the super regional. Congratulations to the football team for their Pioneer District Championship and participating in the regional semifinals. And congratulations to the volleyball team for participating in the regional quarterfinals. Giles High School, I'd like to congratulate their theater group as well. They advanced to the super regionals and took 5th place there. They had 2 students that were recognized, Kaylee Mitkiff, honorable mention actor, and Rachel Hart, 3rd place for best actor, so congratulations to them. Football participated in the regional playoffs, and volleyball in the state semifinals. So congratulations to all those students as well. Members of the FFA Junior Ag Mechanics team from Giles High School placed first at the Skyline Federation contest, so congratulations to them as well. So we want to recognize those students and athletic teams as well at this time. Something else I want to ask the board, I got a couple other things I want to ask the board to approve. First, as you know, last Tuesday, the 15th, we missed school due to inclement weather. If you look at our calendar for the 22-23 school year, our first makeup day is scheduled for January 27th. That is a Friday. So if we leave that the way it is, that means the 25th of January would be the end of the semester, the 26th would be a teacher work day, and then we would bring students back from Friday. I am proposing and asking the board to approve an adjustment to the calendar, making January 26th the last day of first semester, and January 27th would be the teacher work day. That way we've got 4 straight days for students in school, teacher work day on Friday, and then we come back on Monday the 30th and we start second semester.
I'll move that adjustment as described by Dr. Arbogast be adopted.
I'll make a second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I need to ask the board to approve the following surplus item. The ag program has a rake and bush hog that they would like to surplus at this time.
I move that we approve the rake and bush hog surplus items.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Sure, they'll bring a lot.
Need to ask the board to approve the following athletic contract. Mandy Havens, Giles High School girls assistant basketball.
Make that motion. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
And I need to ask the board to approve a substitute bus driver, Daryl Lucas.
I'd gladly make that motion. That is great news.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I think Christmas came early for Dr. Brown this meeting.
Yeah.
Buses and steamers and bus drivers.
And I also want you to remind the board, we were notified last week by DOE. We were recipient of $127,162 from the 2022 School Security Equipment Grant Program. And that's for funds for purchase and installation of school security equipment that was requested in that application. And that's for Giles High, Macy, Narrows Elementary, and Narrows High, those 4 sites.
Great job getting that.
We'll work through the process and get stuff taken care of, and those things that qualify, get those ordered, installed, and then we'll make sure we get reimbursed by the end of the year.
Like desk.
I don't think that this,
Well, we'll keep trying.
I think, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Do you want to get some dates before we do final comments from board members?
Probably need to look for some dates.
So the December meeting would be on the 15th. Third tries the charm. So December 15th. Everybody good with the 15th for regular board meeting?
4:30 meeting.
Yeah, we're going back and forth. Two educational features, so yeah, 4:30 meeting on December 15th. Work session, week of the 5th. Does that work? Does that week work for everybody?
We'll try.
Thursday's decent.
The 8th?
And the 7th. And the afternoon. Take that back. The 8th, yeah, sorry.
So Mr. Buckland's proposing the 8th.
You gonna do the afternoon?
We'll have to ask Melissa anyway. We can tentatively set something for 1 o'clock on December 8th for work session.
Okay.
Miss Amanda, could you please reach out to Miss Gwen and see if that works for her? All right. Closing comment from the board. Mr. Pennington?
You want me to go first? Well, again, thank Dr. Arbogast, Ms. Mustang, and Miss Amanda. I guess we'll have to add you, Mr. Brown. For all you do. But keep us going in the right direction. I'd like to thank everybody that come tonight to speak. Like Stevie said, thanks for all your comments. Dr. Arbogast, and congratulate all the sports teams and the theater, so congratulations to them. Just be patient with us. We'll try to get you some answers. Might not be the ones you want, but we'll try to get them. And just be patient. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. And that's all I got.
I agree with everything Mr. Pennington said. Everybody worked so hard. You know, I know the teachers, you know, what they do is remarkable, you know, and you can't help but praise them. And they're the foundation of our, you know, school system, you know. The reason I ran a long time ago was for our kids, but for our kids, it all deals with our teachers. And I learned that from my father, who was one for 37 years, and this board hears that a lot. But that's the reason I ran every afternoon and every summer that he worked 3 or 4 jobs. So I know personally what they go through, what they deal with, through everything, through not only the kids, through, you know, who they work with and how they're affected. So I try to fight hard for them, and I'll continue to do that while I'm in this position, and thank them for what they do. And wish everybody here Thanksgiving full of turkey and ham and whatever. So thank you.
Thank you. Echo everyone else's thoughts. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate the work that everyone does throughout the school year, but want to congratulate the Giles volleyball team for their success this year. The theater team, great job there. Same with the Naris theater team. And again, the Naris football team, good bunch of young men that sad to see some of them go, but good kids. Like I said, looking forward to getting us through the holiday season and back in the swing of things back in January, getting to that point that 2022 is almost over. But again, hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate everything everyone does.
I think we have done a tremendous job to get back in the buildings and create stability for the kids. I think that the teachers have done an awesome job trying to put in the back of their mind that the uphill climb ahead of them to catch up 2 years is something that is not reasonable from an ask, but you're not capable of not continuing to try to do that. But you're not being paralyzed enough to just keep hammering on, and we applaud you for that. The pandemic taught us a lot about your mindset, and that's got to be measurable for you, and we're trying to do everything we can to support that, and the kids appreciate it. Having said that, I would like to ask the community to be supportive of all our buildings. I'd like for everybody to be able to sit in a room and say there's not one building that any one of our kids shouldn't be proud to be able to attend. And that every educator we have, no matter what building they're in, would do an awesome job taking care of any kid that wanted to walk in any one of those buildings and get tremendous instructional delivery. So while we're trying to figure out our personal issues and protecting everything that we've known for our entire life, let's please not lose sight that anything we do to take away from that is going backwards. And I challenge all of us to keep our focus on that, because that's why all of us sit in this room. So when we focus on that, then we can mess up some stuff, but we can't mess that up. So I want support of all our buildings, all of our high school teachers in both facilities. I want everybody to tell them they're awesome, and that any kid here would be great to go to either building. And we can work out our differences with the other stuff. The last thing I'll leave with is, with all of our kids getting ready to go home for holidays, some of them don't really want to go home. So find a charity, find a way to find that kid that isn't going to have a very good Christmas, and pay attention, because we quit doing that some time ago. And small communities should pride themselves in doing stuff like that. So keep an eye out when you see a kid like that, find a way to make them have the best Christmas that they can have. That's all I've got.
I move to adjourn.
Got a motion? Got a motion and a second? All those in favor? You too. Mr. Buck.
Have a good one, sir.
You too, buddy.